College football season has finally begun. We've got Jack Schmelzinger here, covers the Miami RedHawks for the Miami Student. Let's get right into a big game, obviously for both teams for different reasons. But let's start with Brett Gabbert, quarterback for the RedHawks. You know, with the injury last year, what can you say about him when he's healthy? Maybe what kind of team this is the RedHawks are when he's on the field. It's certainly plenty of experience.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue with the fact that the RedHawks are a completely different team when Brett Gabbert's on the field. Back in 2021, his last full healthy season, he threw for over 2,500 yards, 26 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. He led the team to a MAC championship in his true freshman season back in 2019. He was 2 points away, 1 play away from making it back to that MAC championship game in 2021. He missed a wide open guy in the back of the end zone on a 2-point conversion. If he had hit that guy, they would have made it to the MAC championship in his second full season. He's a really good player. And if we're going to see a full season of healthy Brett Gabbert, it's going to be a really different type of season for these RedHawks. Really escapable from the pocket and a really strong arm. The ball leaves his hand super fast.
Yeah, let's stay with that. His attributes there that you just touched on, Jack. When he's healthy, when he's going right, what does it look like for him? What's he trying to do well? I've kind of looked at some of the PFF analytics and stuff, and I'll get into that. But just overall, his skill set, type of quarterback he is, again, kind of building on with what you just said there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the RedHawks in previous years have had a little bit of issues with their offensive line. And so Brett Gabbert, whether he wants to or not, at least in the past, has been forced to kind of be an escapable type of quarterback. I don't want to compare him to Josh Allen because he's obviously not Josh Allen, but the way that he's able to evade pressure, get out of the pocket is kind of similar, obviously on a much smaller scale, but he's a really escapable guy. He does a good job getting out of the pocket. He can throw the ball 45, 50 yards on the run. He's got a real cannon for an arm, honestly, for someone who's only 6 feet tall. I think that the Cane fans are going to enjoy watching him on Friday. He's just a fun player to watch, an escapable type of quarterback like that.
You know, for the RedHawks to pull off the upset, you know, right now 16.5-point underdogs to the Canes. Obviously, playing at a Hard Rock Stadium gives the Hurricanes an advantage as well, you know, some talent standpoint. But the quarterback position, I mean, a lot of things have to go well, but at that quarterback position, I'm curious maybe his what you can say maybe about his confidence, his leadership, how that could possibly trickle down, maybe the type of team the RedHawks are coming into this thing. Last year, you know, we touched on it with Brett missing so many games, 6-7, so not an overall great season, but they have had recent success under Coach Martin there. Maybe the trickle-down effect in terms of Brett's leadership, his confidence. Is there anything you can maybe say to that and maybe how that might affect the rest of the team? Again, a guy with plenty of experience.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that's interesting to note is Brett Gabbert actually entered the transfer portal earlier in this offseason. Before the team's bowl game in the Bahamas, he ended up rescinding his name from the transfer portal after a couple weeks. And kind of a question that's been going around Miami fans has been what type of command does Brett Gabbert have of that locker room due to that decision to enter the transfer portal and then ultimately to come back. So I think that that's something that remains to be seen. One thing we do know, though, is that Chuck Martin has a stranglehold on that locker room. He's a really good just motivator of men, that type of coach. And I think that the RedHawks, without a doubt, are going to come out playing hard on Friday. No doubt whatsoever. I think that the real issue will be maybe if they come out playing a little bit too hard. Chuck Martin said there's going to be 11 guys on that opening kickoff trying to win the game for us. So RedHawks just kind of have to stay within themselves, not try to play too much hero ball.
You know, I heard Coach Martin talk about maybe the differences from a Hurricane standpoint in terms of their different coordinators. You know, Pat Welsh has been there at Miami with coaching different positions, but the OC now, the tight end position, I would expect that obviously to be a key focal point for them, that Jack's looks like a good option for them at tight end with what he's able to provide, the consistency there. So they do have a tight end thing, but what do you say about the OC, maybe what to expect from the offense? And then also, obviously we're talking about Brett so much, but the other offensive weapons, running backs, receivers, kind of what it all might look like on Friday night, or certainly what the RedHawks are hoping to do this season, especially with this game, obviously.
Absolutely. So, Jaquez Warren, who's a defensive back for these RedHawks, kind of told us at the most recent press conference that the offense has just been throwing so much different stuff at them during practices and camp that they feel like they've played a few different teams already, just with all the different stuff the offense has thrown at them. RedHawks also have a new OC this year, so honestly, I have no idea what to expect from this Miami team. They have 4 really good running backs. They're known for kind of going with a running back by committee type of thing. In Oxford, there's Kenny Tracy and Kevin Davis. Each have over 5 yards per carry on their career. Rashad Amos is from South Carolina. He saw success in tiny little sample sizes down at South Carolina, but he's 6'2", 234 pounds, a real bruiser. And then Keon Mosey, a little bit of a smaller guy, more breakaway speed. They don't have much experience in the wide receiver room. So I think that there's a good chance that we could see the RedHawks try to run the ball a lot on Friday, but obviously if the middle's too clogged up, mentioned the issues they've had with their offensive line in the past, they're probably going to have to go to that passing game. Gage Larverdane's a guy who came over from Southeastern Louisiana State this year on the wide receivers. He was the Southland Conference. He was a first team all Southland Conference as a kick returner and second team as a receiver his freshman year. I believe he was second team as a receiver again last year. It's a guy we're excited about. Joe Wilkins Jr. comes over from Notre Dame, a receiver, doesn't have much experience there. Miles Marshall's a big 6'4" bruising receiver. If he gets the ball in his hands, better watch out. So really the RedHawks, it remains to be seen what type of offense this is going to be this year, but they've got a great quarterback in Brett Gabbert, at least as far as MAC terms. They got 4 good running backs and at least some talent in that wide receiver group. Not much experience, though.
Kind of going back to what I said with some of the PFF numbers, analytics I was looking at with Gabbert, and this isn't anything jarring or anything shocking, but the numbers certainly drop off when in comparison, his splits, whether if he's clean, has a clean pocket, not blitzed, certainly his numbers look a lot better. Again, most quarterbacks would typically be there. And certainly from that standpoint, I'm sure Miami's looking at that. They want to get pressure on the quarterback. Coach Guidry has mentioned multiple times and kind of listened to his philosophies in the offseason, talking about, he's been with some teams that like to sit back a little bit and kind of learn different styles, or some like to get after a team. And I remember hearing him talk about kind of going into this, what he expects from the Hurricanes this year. And he does. He feels like this is a team that wants to get after it. So I think with that, with Miami's front 4, I think they're certainly going to try to apply pressure. And that'll be a key point in this game, I think. As you mentioned, other things too, I kind of noticed Brett is much better with his splits thrown to the right side of the field, certainly good down the middle, but between right and left, he's thrown right much better. That might be something to watch for from a Hurricane standpoint defensively, but it's certainly going to be interesting from an offensive standpoint with what the RedHawks want to do, running the ball and kind of mixing in the pass and however the balance might go.